there are 5 big forces that are interrelated and generally transpire in the cycles as I've described. And we know they exist because everything that we are going to talk about will fall into one of those categories. That is the debt money economy cycle, meaning credit is buying power. You give buying power to entities like, it's like the circulatory system. You give credit, and if that credit it'll produce debt, but if it produces an income that is good enough to pay the debt, it's a healthy system. But when it produces more debt service payments, that squeezes out the spending, and that produces a problem, and then there's a supply-demand problem, and then there are economic problems. Okay, that's one cycle. The second cycle related to that, because money and wealth have political and social effects, is that there becomes big differences in wealth and values. And so when there are big differences in wealth and values, and people feel that the system isn't working for them, you see greater political polarity between the left and the right. It becomes more the hard left and the hard right. And those become irreconcilable differences that are not easily solved through the usual means of operating that way, such as democracies. During the 30s, for example, 4 major democracies chose to be autocracies during those periods. The third is the international geopolitical cycle. In other words, of a rising power challenging existing powers. The same dominance of the dominant power fades relative to other powers, and also the order then gets challenged, and we're certainly going through that. The fourth factor throughout history has been acts of nature. Droughts, floods, and pandemics have actually killed more people than wars, and actually led to more ends of the previously mentioned cycles than anything else. So nature, and certainly nature, climate change and the like, is a big force. And then fifth, through history, are man's learnings of particularly developments of new technologies. The developments of new technologies is what has raised living standards over time, which you can see in terms of life expectancies and per capita GDP. And of course, the development of new technologies now is a very important influence. So those 5 factors have evolved. Those are the main 5 factors. Anything we'll talk about will be under one of those. And of course, the interrelationships with